Arch Manning. It came out, this highly recruited, the godfather of recruiting is what they call him. Can't think of his name right now. But he came out and basically just shitted on Arch Manning's name. He said without the last name, he would be a 3-star. Now, there's two parts to this. We were kind of talking about him being overrated with Connor Clark months ago, right? And it was like, hey, like, is it just because of the name that he's getting this? To me, it seems a little late with this. I honestly was trying to figure out who does this guy cheer for, because why did he wait until he committed to come out and say this? It seemed a little late to the party, in my opinion.
Interesting take. No, that's sharp, actually.
Right? Like he's been in the news. Like we've talked about him week in and week out. And like we're not like this like massive podcast where like nobody else is not seeing this. Right. And so for him to come out then, I'm like, okay, where's his agenda? What is he trying to do here? Right. Like what's his connections and ties to that he's trying to roast them now because maybe he didn't like that he went to Texas, so now I'm going to shit on them.
Right. And look, Arch Manning's name is very clickbaity. It gets a ton of traction. It gets a ton of people to watch the videos.
Sure.
So, but if he sat on clearly he didn't want it. He didn't want the traction. He didn't want the clicks. He didn't want the read. He didn't want anything. He sat on the idea of having this opinion of Manning, Arch Manning, for this long. And then all of a sudden his commitment comes out, and now he's a 3-star quarterback.
Yeah, it seems a little weird. He's not a 3-star. He's saying he would be.
He would be, correct.
And so the other part of it too that I found interesting was I literally just drew a blank there. Holy crap.
See, you still got Boomer in your head.
Yeah,
you live rent-free, baby.
Living rent-free. So with him coming out and kind of roasting Arch, it seemed late. But I'm like literally drawing a blank here. 3-star. Where do the 3 stars come from? Right. So he's the godfather. So I would imagine he would have some say on how these stars are accumulated. Like I would think. The whole star thing and who picks the stars and who votes on the stars, I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't know much about it. And I probably will look more into it so I can be more knowledgeable about it, but I don't have enough. But if this guy is the recruiting godfather, I would imagine that he would have some sort of say or pull on this. So there's two parts to it. He either had an impact or an effect on it early on and is now coming back on it, or he didn't have an effect. But this system that's been in play has always been a thing, right? On who your name is, where you go to school. That's how the 3 stars come into play. The stars come into play. Yep. And so you're trying to say he would be a 3-star without his last name, meaning that he doesn't live up to the hype of a typical 5-star like a Dante Moore. He said Eli Hoiston, who went to who's going to Alabama, is better than him. I can't think of the other guys right now. Like Rashada, he was probably basically claiming is better than Arch Manning, right? Because only because his name is the only reason why we're talking about him. So in what I'm saying, and this is what I was saying earlier about with the 4-star and how that helps with recruiting. Well, that last name helps with recruiting.
Sure.
Whether he was a 3 or a 4-star, if Arch Manning goes somewhere, that's going to bring recruits, regardless of the stars that are behind his name. So my point is that his name brings a presence that, yeah, we want to go play with this guy because of his heritage, of his family heritage, regardless of the talent that he's played, regardless of his natural athletic ability, right? We want to go play with him because of what he's born from.
Sure.
That, to me, gives you those 2 stars. You can argue that, look, then you're technically a 5-star guy. Yeah, you're saying, well, his name, that happens all the time.
All the time.
That's the name of the game. Where these stars, like the stars are fabricated into an extent anyways. It's on a what if situation anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, both of our teams, Florida State, have juniors of players that played for us before. Like their kids grow up and they go to the school where their dads played, right? We've both seen that. Now, in that scenario, how many times does that kid get an extra star because of the family lineage? Because his DeCallan Brooks, perfect example, linebacker for Florida State. Talent-wise, nowhere near his father, Derek Brooks. But he came in as I want to say a 3 or a 4-star linebacker. Now, look, if he's not Derek Brooks' son, does he have that extra star? No. But he comes from a heritage of greatness that people can relate to. So it's natural for people to somewhat inflate what they think your abilities are or what they think the ceiling is for you, simply because they've seen, where you came from. Now, look, to your point, and I think it's a great point when you say, look, if you're a 3-star talent, but you're going to bring in, because of your name, a 5-star running back, a 5-star wide receiver,
O-lineman,
an
D-lineman.
O-lineman, a D-lineman, because you're bringing people with you.
You're bringing value.
You're bringing value. So look, you might be a 3-star athletic ability, but the draw that comes with you brings 3 more 5-star guys.
Huge.
Throw the extra stars on there, man. I mean, he may never take a snap.
That's going to make up for the lack of ability that you're claiming. Yeah.
Yep.
So to me, honestly, I'm going to make this is going to be a hot take for me. The guy's take, I can't think of his name right now, and if you guys can remind me, that's great, is a weak take. It's a cowardly take. And because it's easy to come out and say that he's not going to perform to the 5-star and to the perfect composite score. We said that from the beginning, that no matter what this kid does, he's never going to live up to that 5-star hype. So for you to come out and say he's a 3-star, it's weak. It was clickbaity. It was you trying to be relevant again in a sense. I mean, you're the Godfather, so I mean, what are you trying to be relevant in?
Tom Lemming?
I don't know.
I remember him being a huge college football recruiting guru for a long time, Lemming. But yeah, to your point, again, it's the timing as well. Like, come on, man. Like, who is your fan base? What fan base do you go for? Because all of a sudden, this kid's a 3-star recruit. When if you really wanted to have that opinion of him, you could have had that opinion, say, in January,
months ago.
Yeah,
it's a weak take for you to look like you're right and say, hey, I was right. Well, it's an easy you're right, because again, no matter what he does, people are still going to criticize him and try to bring it down and make it seem like he's not performing to the level, because what are they going to say? Well, look at all the 5 and 5-star talent he has around him.
Yeah, of course.
The kid, unfortunately, the kid's in a losing.
It's a no-win situation.
Yeah, for him.
If he plays well and he plays great, it's because of the talent around him. If he doesn't play up to 5-star talent with a national championship, they're going to say he never lived up.
It's a weak hot take.
Yeah.